Okay, y'all. I'm back. I had to take a little break. But welcome back to Dash Speaks Truth. If you guys are enjoying the content, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share this video. Okay. We are exposing the truth about all these government systems, all these businesses, these people that target people with gifts, with inheritances, to make their lives a living hell. They've killed many people. It's just a whole lot of devilish things going on in this world. So I am a truth seeker, and I expose truth. I can see things that the average eye cannot see. And I expose people. So I'm here to bring some more light, shed some more light on another situation. I actually have 2 videos to record, so I'm going to get both of them done now because they have been on me about it. So I made a discovery already about Social Security Administration Disability Determination Services already, like last year, the year before last. But I haven't really spoke too much about it. But I do want to, and I know that my family is not the only family that has experienced it, but I do want to let y'all know that if y'all do experience discrimination, when trying to get your disability, discrimination with your payments, any encounters that you have with people at Social Security Administration, a lot of people in this land are unhealed. And just because you have a disability, whether it be mental or physical, people will target you, and you would think that the people that work in these government agencies would have more compassion and would care a little more. But I don't know, it's just all over this world where they have developed these negative feelings towards people with disabilities, and they treat them different because I guess if you have a mental or physical disability, they label you as, slow or, ignorant. They don't think that you can be intelligent and have a disability. So my first encounters with them were for my son, and I don't want to disclose too much about my son, but I have a son. He just has a disability, a learning disability. Okay, he just learns a little slower than everybody else. All right, and he get that from his daddy's side. All right. And so for a long time, he struggled in the public school system. Public school system wasn't any help at all. They label them too in the public school system. They treat them differently. They look at them as like a burden. He wasn't really getting what he needed, but for years, like, he's had this disability since he started going to school, since like first grade. And then I didn't know nothing about learning disabilities, so I didn't know that it was a thing. And so for years he struggled in the public school system. It wasn't until he got in about, I want to say about 3rd grade, when my oldest, my daughter, she was like, "Ma, he might have a learning disability." And I was like, "He don't got no learning disability." Like, I didn't fully understand it at that point. And so it was my daughter who really opened my eyes. And then I started paying a little more attention. I started noticing, like, damn, you know what I'm saying? Like, he might have a learning disability. And so from then we relocated. I started doing more with him at home so that I could, see what was really going on myself and not just go with what the school systems were telling me. And when I realized about third grade, when, it may be deeper than, you know, just behavior, um, I was asking the school, to get testing done and things of that sort. Rex Renner Elementary. I'm gonna sue y'all ass too. But they ignored me. I can't remember the principal's name over there, but that bitch. I told them, several times, I wanted to get tested. Like I said, then I didn't have the knowledge to know that I could, you know, go and get them tested on my own. I didn't know that I could apply for a disability if he had, if I felt like he had one or anything of that nature. So this was my learning season. And so when I took them out of public schools and brought them home to homeschool and I started teaching them and everything, I was able to get a grip on, where he was struggling, what he was struggling with, and how he was struggling. He was really struggling. And so it still took a little while longer, because it was a whole lot going on. And like I said, I still didn't know that qualified as like a real disability. So I went through the motions a couple years, 3-4 years after that, and applied for a disability for him with his learning disability. And went through the testing and everything. The testing and everything was okay. We didn't have any problems with the testing. Once, we got everything squared away and situated. He got his disability and everything. The caseworker, her name was Kim Knight. And I keep telling y'all, I have gifts, okay? So there are things that I know before I have physical proof, just because, I'm very spiritually gifted. And so I knew there was something off with her, from the beginning. But all the time when God has me on assignment, when he wants me to expose somebody or expose something within a system, it takes a couple encounters sometimes to actually see what's going on. And so throughout all of our encounters, Kim Knight, she was in the office in Smithfield, North Carolina. Not sure if she's still there or not, because I did expose something that she did on purpose, where she purposely put in the wrong numbers, and he wasn't getting his full amount. And by the time I called it, they owed us like $3,000. So they had to pay us that. Okay. But she would just, and this is when I didn't know what organized crime was. This is when I didn't know that I was being targeted. I just noticed that every time I went to the office, the Social Security office, like everybody in there knew who I was. I would sit down and talk to them. They wouldn't ask me for my ID. They wouldn't verify who I was, but they would give me information about my son, which is against the law because they're supposed to verify who you are first. I would turn things in. She wouldn't process them. It was one form I had to turn in when I had lost my job. When I was able to work, it was a form that I had turned in, my termination letter, I believe it was. I turned that form in like 3 different times. She wouldn't return my calls. She wouldn't process my termination letter. I put in several complaints about her. Even the supervisor at that location was in on it. They wouldn't process my complaints. I sent the complaints up to the higher ups. And that was when, I started getting some feedback. My termination letter ended up getting processed like several months after I submitted it 3 times. And all of this is documented. So I'm going to be suing the Social Security Administration, Disability Determination Services. Not only that, I'm suing every entity and every individual in the entity who has discriminated against me, who has participated in organized crime against me. Okay? I'm just going to say that out loud. Y'all not getting away with this. Y'all going to have to pay me, period. Okay. So then my spirit was just telling me that something was off with the amount that we were getting. And so I put in another complaint based off what my spirit was telling me, because my intuition is never wrong. And when I put that complaint in, that's when I found out I got a deposit a couple months later. Like, I was like, somebody need to look into this case, because I know that she has purposely entered something wrong on here, because my spirit is saying it. Like, I can't remember exactly what the complaint paper said, but I got a copy of it so I can go back and look at it. But it was just basically saying, like, she didn't process my my termination letter, for his check to go up, because when I don't have income, he get the full amount. And so when I was no longer getting checks from where I was working, I've submitted, it was like February, but they didn't fix it until, like, I don't know, like October or something like that. I don't know. I had to look back at that. But I just basically put in a complaint. They got a form. It's called, is it SA 437, something 437. But if y'all are experiencing, anybody, if you feel like you're being discriminated against, if you can articulate it and put it in words, I encourage you to submit a complaint on whoever it is, whether you're on the phone with somebody or whether you go into the office. I encourage you to put in a complaint, because, and then sometimes you might have to put in more than one complaint for it to get to the right person, because I had to put in a couple complaints before it got to the right person. So when I put that complaint in and let them know, hey, something is off with his check and it need to be corrected, it took a little while. And then, there was a deposit one day of, it was almost like $3,000. Like, I knew that she did something wrong. I just felt it. But when I got the money, I was like, I knew that she had did something wrong. And, it was just on purpose. Like, every time I went in the office, there was one time when I went in, and this was the second time where I was submitting my termination letter. And she was the one that actually took it. And so I gave it to her. I was like, I want to make sure that you get this, because I've sent it in. I haven't heard anything about anything. I haven't received any correspondence about it. She just took it and, put it to the side. And then there was another lady that I sat down with. I can't remember her name, but I got it on a piece of paper somewhere. And these are all the people in Smithfield, North Carolina, the location there. But this lady didn't check my ID, so I knew that she knew who I was. They give themselves away a whole lot. And then she took the paper, and then the copy that she made of the paper wasn't legible. And so I knew that, they were trying to create another delay. And then I submitted a complaint to the supervisor. He didn't do nothing, so I went over his head and submitted to the other people. And then I don't know what they did to everybody. I hope that they fired them, but I will be coming back to sue for discrimination, because I have, tangible evidence and I can prove it. But not only that, that was my first encounter with experiencing the discrimination and retaliation, and, realizing that it was something else going on. I just didn't know that organized crime existed, but it was organized crime. All right. But I have now discovered, like, they're still doing it, and it's in other offices. Raleigh is an office that is participating as well. Okay, so I've had an encounter where I did a claim for myself in the past, and I would turn in things, and they wouldn't take the paperwork I turned in. They would just it was one lady had told me, and I don't know if I got it on record or not, but she told me that it was like it was open and then closed. Something that I turned in was open and then it was closed or something like that. So I have some evidence of some of that too. But here recently, I have a physical disability claim where I've struggled with arthritis in my hands, carpal tunnel syndrome, and tendonitis. Like, I've struggled with it like for a long time, for years. I don't know, since like my 20s, my early 20s, I've struggled with the pains and stuff in my hands. And so I decided to put in an application to apply, for physical disability. And this time, the discrimination and retaliation and organized crime, I knew it was going to be something off, like I always know. Like, nothing just ever goes smooth for me in my life. Because I am a targeted individual, and because I am, who I am, and there are people who are constantly, like, they never stop trying to make it hard for me. They never stop, fucking with me. And I know that they ain't gonna stop until they, go to prison, or, they just fall dead or something like that. I don't know. But so I got everything submitted. I turned everything in, and my spirit told me to make copies of everything before I sent it back. So I made copies. So then I got a call from the case manager. His name is Rodney. And he left a voicemail. He said he needed some more information. And so I got a letter as well, and I called in. They told me to call. So I called when they sent the letter, and the lady was asking, did I see a regular doctor? Like, what doctor did I see? And I don't see a regular doctor. I treat myself holistically. I am a certified health coach. And so I have made lifestyle changes, or I recommend lifestyle changes for me and my family, to fix us. And so when I have pain and stuff in my wrist and my forearms and my hands, I get out my herbs, I drink my tea, to alleviate the pain or whatnot. And, I try not to use my hands certain ways and not so much, so that, the pain doesn't flare up, because when I use them certain ways and so much, it hurts, okay? And sometimes I wake up and they're hurting. But so I called, and she was just asking questions about a third party, which I had filled out the paper for a third party, but then I had put my daughter on there, but she's under 18, and then I was like, no, I don't want to use a third party, so I let her know, well, she's under 18 anyway, so I'm not using a third party to help me with this claim. Y'all can send me to y'all doctors, and y'all doctors can confirm what's going on with my hands, because, I've been having problems with them for years. And if they took records, because they don't take records past 3 years, if they took records past 3 years, I could, give them documentation of when I've been to the doctor for these pains, and, when I've been diagnosed with these pains, or, with these ailments tied to these pains. And multiple jobs where I was working with my hands, and I would have to go, to the clinic multiple times because of pain in my hands. But they don't take records past 3 years, so I can't use those. So, I was just like, fuck it. They're going to send you for an evaluation anyway, just to confirm. So I got off the phone with her after, she asked about the third party. She asked about me seeing doctors. And then she was like that the appointment was going to be with Rodney, but Rodney is the case manager and not the person doing the exam. And so I get a letter, and the letter is after the appointment was scheduled, because the appointment was scheduled. I confirmed the appointment scheduling. Now, mind you, because of the type of disability, which is a physical disability, my appointment should be, going to go see somebody so they can, I guess, run tests on my hands and everything else to confirm what's going on. And so these people, I don't know how these people know, these people that have organized crime, I don't know how they be knowing everything that I'm doing. Like, no matter how hard I try to, stay under the radar, try to make sure that they can't see what I'm doing, they always seem to find out some type of way. And I know that they have connections everywhere. But I don't fucking know. I know that people are violating my civil rights. I know that they are talking to people about my claims and what I'm doing, outside of work. I know that. And then based off of the actions that they take towards me, they always confirm, they always prove me right. And so the appointment got scheduled. She didn't say exactly what type of exam it was going to be, but I'm under the impression, okay, I'm going to be going to see somebody. It threw me for a loop when she said it was a telehealth exam, because I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, well, if my hands and stuff they got to run tests and stuff, it shouldn't be a telehealth exam. So I was confused about that. So I just let it all play out. I'll sit back and play dumb and let it play out, just so I can not only get my evidence for when I sue y'all ass, but, to show this is what the fuck y'all doing. And, I got evidence. Undisputable. I love to have undisputable evidence, because when you go to court, the judges want to be able to see something that proves what you're saying. What's up, son? Grand Rising, young handsome prince. What, you didn't get your finger? What?
No, the interest is not on home here, and the phone is not on.
Okay.
When we watch TV.
Boy, you gotta watch some learning stuff. Okay, so I get the letter about the appointment, and the appointment is scheduled, but I read everything. I even read my junk mail. Okay, I open up everything and I look at everything, because I'm not gonna miss nothing. So I open up the letters. I knew that it was here. I knew that it was gonna be confirming my appointment, but I don't just throw nothing to the side. Like I look at everything, and so. You're welcome. When I open the papers and I start reading through everything, I see who's scheduled to do the exam, and I think her name was Anita Agunobi. But these names that I'm calling, y'all can look into my current disability claim that I have for a physical disability, and look at everybody who's on the case. I did get some names. I got a Brenda. I got a Jennifer. I can't think of that other lady name. I got it wrote down somewhere, and I got Rodney. So I called, and, after I seen, when I got the papers, it said that the appointment was scheduled. It was telehealth. And they said that, here, drink some of that water. I got to go to the store. They said that the telehealth appointment is scheduled for, the time is scheduled for, the day is scheduled for, but the type of exam, in the type of exam box, hold on, boo, I'm going to get up and get you something. It says psychiatric exam. And so when I seen that, I was like, here they go with this bullshit again. Like, what the fuck? I don't need a psychiatric exam. And this paper, too, was me having to confirm that I'm going to attend this appointment. And so I souped up the paper. I completely marked out the yes, I'm going to attend. Like, I marked all over it, so you can't even bring that back. And then I circled and colored in the no, I'm not going to attend. And then for the reason, I put, I don't need a psychiatric exam for a physical disability. And so once I seen that, that's when I started making my calls and recording, so that I could get these people on, on the loudspeaker. And so the lady that I was speaking to on the phone, she was like, I was like, well, I need to cancel this appointment because I'm not attending a psychiatric exam when my claim is for a physical disability. She was like, yeah, that don't make no sense. And then I was asking her questions like, typically what happens when it's a physical disability. She said that the appointment is scheduled for you to have an exam based off the disability. And so I called everybody on the team that is working on this case, the supervisor, the case manager, the case consultant, everybody. And I left them all messages letting them know, Rodney scheduled this appointment, scheduled a psychiatric exam, purposely scheduled a psychiatric exam. So I know you talking to people outside of work about my case, which is against the law. Number two, I know that you are participating in organized crime. Number three, I'm going to sue you and everybody else. So I just left them all voicemails, and I got it on record what I said. But I left them all voicemails letting them know, like, I know what y'all doing, but it just backfired on y'all. So I know you the one that scheduled the appointment, but I'm letting you know I faxed over the paper and I uploaded it on the online portal. So make sure that it get in there to let y'all know, here go this paper of me confirming that I'm not attending this appointment. So if y'all try to do some dumb shit and try to send the link to somebody else or some shit like that, there's a digital footprint of that. Okay, I don't need a psychiatric exam for a physical disability. So I'm pretty sure, not pretty sure, but I know that with the documentation that's been sent in, that appointment is going to be canceled. I left him 2 voicemails actually, and let him know the first time, hey, I know what you're doing. I didn't call him dumb, but you a dumbass nigga. I know what you're doing. I know you participate in organized crime. I know you have taken a bribe. I know this is retaliation too, because I have a history of reporting people in this, shining the light on you motherfuckers in this building. But not only that, I called back and verbally, after I sent in the papers twice, and verbally decline, attending the appointment because I don't need a psychiatric exam. I need a physical exam for, to examine my hands and my wrist and my forearms for the disability that I have. And so when I was talking to the lady, she was like, did you put anything on there about being depressed? And I'm like, no, bitch, this is a physical disability claim. I'm not depressed. I don't feel down. I am alive. I am well. I don't have no mental, I have no mental issues. There's nothing fucking wrong with me. Y'all know it ain't nothing wrong with me. Look at me. Look at me. There's nothing fucking wrong with me. No, I ain't putting nothing about no goddamn depressed or nothing. No, nothing. There ain't nothing wrong with me mentally. Okay, mentally, I am fucking very well mentally. I'm more well than anybody y'all ever motherfucking knew. I'm so well that I can point out what the fuck y'all trying to do. Anyway, so yeah, I left him some voicemails letting him know, nigga, I'm on to you. I know what you're doing. But not only did I submit a complaint on him formally through the portal, and sent it to the email. So I sent it twice. So just in case they try to get rid of the formal complaint that I sent, I also complained. I sent in a tip to the FBI too, to let them know, hey, I done found some more corruptness in this entity. But I don't know if I don't think I said anything about what I found out with dealing with my son's case. But this is just more of me finding out what they doing dealing with my own case. And so, and mind you, when my anxiety was fucked up, prior to, I did have a mental disability case that I submitted, but it was just based solely on anxiety. And it was because of a toxic work situation that I was in that was organized. So it was designed to put me in a mental state. But I shook out of that after I got out of the environment. I got my energy back well. And, I just realized that I can't be working in no toxic ass environment, because it's going to fuck with me mentally, because there were people harassing me, constantly harassing me. They were intimidated by me because I learned very fast. So when I came in there learning everything very fast and getting certified in 2 weeks and stuff, people were jealous and things of that nature, because I'm a very fast learner. And so that's when Daphne Brown, she was working there too. This was at Wolf Speed, and I think I told y'all about that, the Wolf Speed incident. But thinking back in retrospect, the girls that was bullying me were tied to her, because one of the girls, she was her home girl. And so I know that she paid them and she orchestrated the organized crime against me at Wolf Speed, Daphne Brown did. Okay, and then would sit back and act like she wasn't doing nothing, but she was the one that orchestrated it. So yeah, that was when, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna just apply for some disability for my anxiety because it had got real bad. Um, but it was just because I know me and I know how I get, and I don't wanna put my hands on nobody, and I know if I get to that point, I'm going to jail. And so I am a former crash out, okay? I used to crash out, but I don't do that no more. I've gained control of my emotions. And so everything that I was doing and trying to do to avoid conflict, I went through the motions of reporting them multiple times. HR didn't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? I even let the CEO know. He didn't do nothing but send it to the top lady in HR, which they still didn't do nothing. It got worse when I started reporting it. And so I end up having to be taken out of work because I couldn't focus on work, having to look over my shoulder and having to think that, okay, when am I going to have to defend myself like these bitches act like they want to fight? And, I don't want to fight, but if somebody put their hands on me, we going to fight because I'm going to defend myself. I have that right. But I went through the motions of trying to avoid that situation, and then that's when I applied for the disability, for the anxiety. But then when I went for the testing, when I did the psychiatric exam, I've already had a psychiatric exam with the Social Security Administration. They was like, ain't nothing wrong with her. I was just going through some things at that point in my life. She does not have a mental disability. But it all worked out for my good because I later found out that the people who have stolen from me were trying to say that I had a mental disability that I don't have, and they're trying to say that I'm not capable of taking care of myself and doing things for myself and taking care of finances and stuff, which I do that stuff on a regular. Like I have a budget and everything, So I manage my money, I manage my household. I'm the one that take care of my household and my kids and everything. Like I don't get help from nobody. And so it all worked out for my good. So I was like, there ain't nothing wrong with me. Yeah, I just realized like, okay, that I was going through that anxiety because I was in a very toxic work situation and I was trying my best to not react out of emotion, and it was getting hard. And so every time I would see those girls, my anxiety would go up, and I'd be like, all right, what I'm gonna have to do, you know what I'm saying, because I'm trying to avoid y'all. But they would come by and say stuff and just try to get up under my skin, and I would ignore it. And then it was just one night I just couldn't take it no more, and so I left the floor. I went and I told them, look, I ain't getting ready to keep doing this. I can't work like this. I recorded that whole conversation, so I'm going to sue Wolf Speed too. But
Mom.
yeah, but I know I just went off. I just want
talking to you.
I know. Hold on, I'm about to get up now. I just got on here to give y'all some more information and to expose Disability Determination Services, the Social Security Administration, Rodney over there, Kim Knight over there. There's a lady named Jennifer that's over Rodney, and I think Brenda over Rodney, and there's another name that she gave me, but I got it wrote down. Y'all can look into my current physical disability case. Rodney has scheduled a psychiatric exam when I have a physical disability claim. So we know that it's organized crime. We know that they're doing it on purpose. And we know that he's talking to somebody outside of his regular work hours. So y'all need to tap in on all of their lines, all of their business emails, their personal lines, their work lines. I don't know if y'all can tap into voicemails that have been left, but I left voicemails. I have those voicemails recorded. I've recorded everything. The only thing I didn't record was me talking to the lady that was scheduling the appointment, or let me know when the appointment was scheduled. But if they calls are recorded, I talked to her like, it was like Monday or Tuesday of this week. I think I screenshotted a picture of when I called, if I'm not mistaken. But y'all can get the records of the calls. Y'all can see every time that I called. I know that there's a search that y'all can do when y'all do your investigation and get a record of every time that I've called in to that number. So I highly advise y'all to get some eyes and ears on them. Look into Kim Knight and that situation and all the complaints that I've submitted on Social Security Administration, Disability Determination Services, their employees. Look into everything because they are participating in organized crime as well. All right, so I gotta go and tend to my household, and I just wanted to get on here and tell y'all about that. Was it something else that I needed to tell y'all about? It was 2 videos I needed to do. It was Social Security Administration and somebody else. I don't know. Let me look at this video and see. But I'll holler at y'all.